Hello, Spirit House here. Um, I am continuing on with the Message of the Divine Iliad by Walter Russell, Volume 2. And we are in Part 1, which is 3 books from the Divine Iliad. And this one is called The Book of Healing, a Communion. So I shall begin at the beginning of the Book of Healing. Behold the light which shineth out of the darkness. The glory of thy anointing light is upon me. I am in the Spirit. Thy light is all about me, it encompasseth me, it shineth through me. I am dissolved in thy light. Thy light is my light. I am immersed in my light. Dimensionless I am, and I am as unconditioned as thou thyself art dimensionless and unconditioned. Thou, my father, mother, art the light of the world. There is but thee, the one light. Therefore, I am thy son of light, being one with thee. I am the light of the world, bearing thy radiance to man. I am thy messenger of light, translating thy glory into words for man. When thou speakest through me, I myself speaketh through my oneness with thee. I need not to learn, for I know all things. When thy light and mine are intermingled, then is thy knowing my knowing, and thy thinking my thinking. When I am not body engaged in sense thinking, then I am wholly mind, thinking thy transcendent thinking. Thou thinkest thy knowing in light waves, and thy meaning is as clear to thy anointed one as the light of thy knowing behind its meanings is radiant to him. Thou art the source of force, which keeps all creation moving on thy balanced wheel of motion. Yet thou art not the wheel, nor art thou motion. Thou art not the moving shaft. Thou art the still center of the shaft where no motion is, yet all motion is centered by thy stillness. Thou art the source of all creating things, yet thou art not the many things of thy creating. All creating things spring from thee as products of thy knowing, yet they are not thee, nor are they part of thee. All creating things are conditioned by thy thinking, yet thou thyself art not conditioned. All creating things are forever changing, as thy thinking is forever changing, but thou thyself art never changing. Nor is thy knowing, from which thy thinking springeth, ever changing. In the Spirit I stand before thee, the source of all creating things, awaiting thy commanding. I know thy purpose wholly. Thou hast flashed it to me clearly in its fullness. I sense it fully, even as I wholly sensed it when I first translated thy inviolate laws and principles for the unhearing ears and unseeing eyes of earthbound man. To fully sense it in the light is sufficient for both my knowing and my ecstasy, but my knowing and my ecstasy will not alone bring light to man. Unfold thou again, through me, part by part sequentially, thy immortal plan which thou hast writ in waves of dual light upon time's pages. I, whom thou hast freed from time, must bind myself to time for man. Let thy timeless essence be spread out in the orderliness of time, that I may build a structure for man's seeing, bit by bit and piece by piece. Thou, of whom there are no parts, nor is there time, shall make men to see the unity of thee through oneness of the many parts he sees in space and time. Lead me to unfold thy plan of creation for mankind's reasoning, in the manner of his reasoning. Let me again write down thy laws. Guide thou my hand anew. Enfold thou me within thy inner gates, that I may not err in transcribing through my humanity. Words must I rewrite from wordless light. Guard thou my unity, my oneness, lest I again write my words, not words of thine. Diagrams must I set down in form from formlessness, for without form they are to man as though they never were. Make me master of the art in which I am so weak and must be strong. Pictures of thy imagining must I paint in man's pigment, for the light of thy knowing must be translated to him in words for which his sense-seeing hath a meaning. Enhance thou my skill in thus translating the colors of thy light waves of thinking with colors made of earth. To thus translate the glory of thy spectrum with earthly pigment is like unto kindling fires of genius in dead eyes. So guide thou my hand with thine, and multiply thou me. For I must face traditions and primal teachings of the schools, and use man's terms which are as another tongue than mine. So be thou thee in me when thou commandest me. Here, therefore, I take my stand upon thy mountain top, to translate for man thy simple plan that my spirit seeth in light, to those sense-seeing of man's eyes. Then must I set it down in form for earthbound man, whom thou wouldst release from bindings through me, thy messenger to man. And keep thou me in the oneness of thy light until I have worthily given thy message to suffering man. The Word, Part 1. Hear thou me, and heed thou my commanding. Give thou to man new knowing. My messengers to men have given him but little knowing, for man could bear naught of my knowing in his early days, and but little more today, for man is still new. Give to him, therefore, that which he can bear, but beyond that little shalt thou not go. Dark voids are still dark, even with much illumining, but that which is illumined shineth brightly with but little added light. Even so was fearing man in his early days of darkness, and even now he is but beginning to know the light of my illumining. For long eons man hath been but body, a fearing body of clay. Excuse me. Ever fearing for his body, a groveling slave to his body, working, fighting for his body, sensing naught but body needs and desires. For these eons he hath known not of self of him, nor of me in him. Then cometh yesterday in man's unfolding, and the dawn of consciousness and conscience in him. Man then suspecteth me afar, but feared my wrath, for he knoweth not but wrath and other passions of his sensed body. In those early days of his first eons, and knew not love in me, nor in anything. Then cometh today when fearing man is becoming knowing man, conscious of spirit in him, and of his spirit oneness with me, but comprehending me not. Man still saith that I cannot be comprehended, for he still must sense that which he would comprehend. Man still thinketh of me as a material body like unto his own, for he still demandeth a material body for all idea of his convincing. He still knoweth not that I have a universal body of my conceiving, product of my desiring, created by my thinking, which is not me, even as man has a body of man's conceiving, product of his desiring, created by his thinking, which likewise is not man. Man knoweth not yet that the idea of any creating thing is not the body of the creating thing, which but manifests the idea in forever changing form. Nor knoweth he that forever changing forms are but forever changing electric records of forever changing thinking. Nor knoweth he that forever changing thinking is but the fulfillment of desire to manifest knowing in forever changing form. Part 2. Man still thinketh of himself as one of countless many men, each one separate being, each one an entity, an ego, an individual person. He knoweth not yet of his unity with all other men, nor with me. Nor knoweth he yet that he must lose his treasured individuality to find universality of knowing in me. Say thou to him, each thing is everything, and each is everywhere. All things are the same thing, for all are universal. All things occupy the same space, and each thing occupieth all space. For verily I say, all things are omnipresent, for I center all things, and I am everywhere. And all things extendeth to all things, from all things, and through all things. For to thee I again say, all things are light, and light separateth not, nor has it bounds, nor is it here and not there. Man cannot evade me, for he is me, nor can I evade man when he desireth me, for I am he. Knowest thou that desire in man and desire in me are one? Likewise all desire in men are one. Hear thou me, all men, when I say, there is a light within thy life thou knowest not of, centering and controlling that clad image, which thou thinkest of as thy life, knowing not that it is but an implement of thy life, a tool for thee to work the miracles of thy thinking for just a little while until it resteth away, Thou mayest weave the pattern of thy thinking in light of my knowing, and create thy image in divided light of me, even as the sun sets up its bow of many hues from divided light of me. But thou canst not be apart from me, even as the spectrum of the rainbow canst not be apart from me. And as the rainbow is a light within the light, inseparable, so is man's self within me, inseparable, and so is his image my image. Verily I say, every wave encompasseth every other wave unto the one. And the many are within the one, for the many are the one. And I further say that everything repeateth itself within every other thing unto the one. And furthermore I say that every element which man thinketh of as itself alone is within every other element, even to the atom's smallest unit. When man queries thee in this wise, sayest thou that in this iron there is gold and all things else? Thou mayest answer, within the sphere and encompassing it is the cube, and every other form that is, and within the cube and encompassing it is the sphere and every other form that is. Side note, if you watch the Secret of Light, or you read The Secret of Light by Walter Russell, that's all there is in creation, is the cube and the sphere, basically. So you might want to check out The Secret of Light, or I may read it at a future date too. Say thou also to him, all things center all things and are involved in all things. Everything reacheth through every other thing, even to the farthermost star. See thou that man well knows the illusions which deceive his sense-seeing. Point out to him my mirrors and my lenses of dual light pressures which curve my universe of seeming into image spheres of my thinking as seed for multiplying one into seeming many ones. For I say that man's infinity ends in eyes of man where it began. All things in my mirrored universe of illusion end where they begin. Know thou that eternity endeth in now, for now is eternity. For the purpose of creating the illusion of time, I have set my mirrors and lenses of dual light to attain an infinity in my imaged universe where no measure is. Let me reread that last verse. Know thou that eternity endeth in now, for now is eternity. For the purpose of creating the illusion of time, I have set my mirrors and lenses of dual light to attain an infinity in my imaged universe where no measure is. Time and space are just a measured unit, with motion. When at the beginning of creation, when motion, the duality, when the one was split into two, it was split into two spheres of sext God, the father, mother God. And with those spheres, when they separated, became motion. Motion was set forth, and then time. But it was an illusion. And basically, this is my understanding of it. It's just so that we can maintain memories and learn and look back and draw upon lessons and things in order to ascend. But really, everything's happening at once. There is really no time. It is fluid. It's an illusion. It's just so that we can have a way to enjoy life in all its pain and joy, and to be able to draw upon our lessons and gain wisdom from it in order to ascend. So that's my take on it anyway, from all of my study throughout the years. But here's part 3. Thou, my son, desireth my knowing. Thou hast my all-knowing. Why for question me? Desire my all-knowing, and it is already thine. Wherefore, thou asketh, can man take death away from man and give back life to him? How can man heal the sick and make blind eyes see? Wherein lieth the omnipotent power in man, which thou well hast in thee? These questions thou asketh. Excuse me, let me turn the page here. All unmindful of thine allotted task, wherein thou art commanded to take death away from man through thy knowing, and give him back to me as me. My messengers have their allotted work for me, well suited to the day of their appearance, and to the purpose for which I well choose each messenger. Thy task thou knowest well, And thou shalt execute my commands to thee to open doors now closed to man, that he shall see the light of me in him, and know himself as me. Thou shalt not in thyself regenerate man, nor heal the sick, for by such acts thou shalt not prove thyself. Thou shalt, however, make man to heal himself through knowledge of the light. Thine own work is timed to this day and age, but at thy will thou mayest appoint thy messengers as mine, to heal the sick and give my power to them through thee. So heed thou my limiting commands to thee. I limit thee to giving my knowing to man, that he may heal himself through his knowing, and not through thee, nor through faith or belief in thee, nor even in me. Say thou to thine appointed ones these words of mine. I am the omnipotent God of my creating universe. My universe is my body, idea of my imagining, formed in my image, product of my knowing, recorded in matter by my electric thinking. My body is not me. I alone am. My knowing is the still, balanced, unchanging, and unconditioned light of me. My thinking is the dual, changing, conditioned, balanced, moving light of my imagining, motivated by desire in me to manifest my knowing in thought forms of my imagining. What I am, man is. I, with man, am creating man in my universal image. I think idea, and the form of my idea appeareth in the pattern of my thinking. All pattern forms of my idea are forms of my imagining. Wherefore I say, all forms of all things are created in the perfection of my image. I think man, and man appeareth in the image of my thinking. Man thinketh man, and man appeareth in the image of man's thinking. Man's thinking is my thinking. Man's knowing is my knowing. All thinking things are thinking my thinking. All creating things are formed in the image of my thought imaginings to manifest my thought imaginings. My universe is my image, creature of my imaginings. As I think, so I am. I am what I desire to be. I am what I think. As man thinketh, so he is. Man is what he desires to be, and man is what he thinks. I'm going to end it there, and I will start with part 4 in my next video. Thank you so much. Please like, share, and subscribe if you can. It helps me to grow my channel. And